Heed the Call podcast. Put on 10 pounds of muscle in the off-season. Oh, wait. No. They ate 10 pounds of muscles.
Dang. So stupid. Terrible show. Welcome to Heed the Call. Dan Hanzus here with Marc Sessler, as well as the great Conor Orr, Justin Graver on the ones and twos. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. We took a little break. We are refreshed and we are ready. And Mark, this week, everyone last week and this week is now, the offseason is over on one level because OTAs have begun in the programs that lead up to the start of the 2025 regular season. And I'm just guessing that you've been diving in on all of the reporting around the country.
On some of it. Yes, attempting to. I'm very plugged in. Over the Memorial Day holiday, what I try to think about our veterans and respect what they've been through. And then this morning, thank you, Justin. As we are preparing to dive back into what is the ramp-up session, Justin and I receive a text from Dan that says, "Be back. I'm getting a skin peel right now." I just want to ask, what is happening? Was that real? What's going on here?
I wrote that?
Yes, you said, yes, I'm getting a skin peel. Be right back. BRB.
I feel like that was a joke about my mom potentially appearing on a later show.
Yes.
No? Am I wrong?
That's what it was.
I misread it thinking that you were out on the town getting a skin peel, and that's why I asked the question. Just wanted to make sure.
Can we in post put like screeching brakes on the top of the show as momentum for Marc Sessler?
It was an open question, but
anyway, thank you, Mark, for neatly allowing me to seg into the first topic today. Yes, OTAs and the news reporting all around that. I could always count on my partner, my dynamic duo. Yes, it is Trope Alert season, and it's the one thing you can really count on.
Trope Alert
is the reporting. Conor, you have been in the field for many years. You were a beat reporter before you were a national columnist. Is that your title? What is your exact title over there at SI?
It's powerful.
Senior writer.
Senior writer.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
So you know your way around at NFL Trope, and it's funny. This is something we all have. We've been in the business long enough where you don't have to always be filled with humility as I am. Like sometimes you could take credit for things. I like to say when you see out there in the discourse now people talking about tropes and things. I wrote an article on NFL.com 7 years ago called NFL Trope Season is Here, the finest in recycled themes. You'll notice as I went to pull it up this morning, you'll notice something missing here. It's a byline. So thank you to NFL.com for scrubbing 14 years of writing from the website, keeping the content, but eliminating the credit on the byline, which I don't even know. Conor, you're a Syracuse-trained journo. Is this legal? Can they even do this? Can they take my work and scrub my name from it?
I don't know, but if you want to pursue action, I have some very similar concerns about, literally half a decade of my writing career that seems to have gone up in smoke on that website. So, yeah.
So, our long forms, they've been now suddenly a robot wrote my long forms as well?
I mean, that whole company became an enemy of the creative the longer we stayed there.
Yeah. So
this is just the natural next step to the process is to eliminate the idea of humans, which it sounds like they might even be doing. Anyway, so to that point, it's when I think I invented that idea of the Trope Alert in the spring portion of the NFL calendar. And I just want to share a few of them that I've seen. Thank you. And I also remember the troops during Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, I didn't doubt that. I just, I think we assumed that.
Okay.
I may have forgotten the troops. Sorry.
Do you know how much I support the troops?
You tell us.
And I do. I mean, sincerely, we're not that show. We do understand the the sacrifice and
We do.
the protection of our nation. My brother-in-law, Tanner, served in Afghanistan, multiple tours. And I was watching a Yankee game, and Major League Baseball, like NFL, they will... Con, hold for applause. They are, yes.
I think it's appropriate, the reaction of the crowd.
Just like the NFL may or may not look to profit on the troops by pretending to support the troops with various merch, MLB does the same thing too. They had something mysteriously titled Armed Forces Weekend like 3 weeks ago, and all the Yankees were wearing a camo hat with the backward American flag on the side and the New York logo. So I went on MLB.com/shop and purchased, I found out the size of my brother-in-law's head from his wife, and I purchased a fitted Yankees hat for, wait for it, $47. Hit it, Justin. Good job, Gravy. Anyway, I don't know where we're at. Oh,
well, I would say one
yes.
quick note on Tanner. I mean, this is a multi-talented individual. He came to the Minneapolis Super Bowl with us, I believe, and put on quite a show. I would just say that towards the end, as the week
to this
crawled
day,
along. Yeah.
Of all the Super Bowls we went to, and we always were, and now I'll say something nice about the NFL. When you work for the NFL as a full-time employee, if you get invited to cover it, you get to take guests. 2 tickets, you get to the game. Awesome. Okay, let's be real. There are a lot of great things about working for that company. That was one of them. And Kevin, my brother, and Tanner are the only 2 people in the history that were up when we got back from the stadium at 4 a.m. They were at the TGI Fridays at the wherever we were staying, the hotel they put us up in the outskirts of.
It was like a Hilton Inn or something.
Yeah, and they were loud and proud in that moment, still drinking and tossing back tostado nachos at a TGI Fridays. So let's give it up for Tanner and my brother Kevin. All right, let's get into it. So, Trope Alerts. Here are the ones that I've seen this year, and if you don't know what a Trope Alert is, as an example, although I haven't seen this one reported out there yet, second-year player, the game has slowed down for me. And then you'll see across all different beats, whoever slots into that trope, and then you bang out what? Connor, you bang out 800 words on it, and away we go? Is it, kind of that thing?
Not even, probably at this point. I mean, 400 at this,
Yeah,
you
bang out 4.
Are winnowing here, so.
Bang out 400. Anyway, but here's some that I have seen so far this year, and if you've seen any, let us know in the comments on YouTube. How about that? We've never done that before. Let us know in the comments. Justin, that was
We'll read them.
Player added 10 pounds of muscle in the offseason. We mentioned that. We have actually Marvin Harrison Jr., these are real headlines. I definitely put on some muscle this offseason.
Trope Alert.
Will McDonald IV of the Jets gains 15 pounds this offseason.
Trope Alert.
Okay. Here's another one. Player X using non-traditional methods, open parenthetical, probably dancing or something, close parenthetical. N'Kobe Dean used ballet training to help come back from knee injury.
Trope Alert.
Very good, very good. How about Draft Bust X looks like he's ready to turn the corner? And we have Xavier Legette honing in on catching the ball after Costly drops as a rookie.
Trope Alert.
I'm working
That's
on
a tough one.
Honing in.
That's a tough headline. That is called hedging your bets. How about new quarterback / wide receiver tandem enjoy insane Kyle Chandler and Connie Britton on Friday Night Lights like chemistry? And sure enough, Justin Jefferson and J.J. McCarthy, this is a real headline, are quietly building something special.
Trope Alert.
Quietly.
These headlines.
And here are some of my favorites that I have not seen yet, but I'm really looking forward to. Player X ready to break out after good / okay final 2 games of previous season. Let's see. This one, I need to find who the new person is because I wrote that originally in 2018. Tavon Austin will be a weapon in Team X's offense. Who's the new Tavon Austin? That's one. Keep an eye on that. And finally, the one that I've always enjoyed this one because it speaks to the optimism that's inherent to man, right? Player X: I'm better now than I was before. Devastating lower body injury. Who will it be? Who will it be?
I will say, and this is not because your list and your mastery of the genre is unquestioned, and not to suggest any additions to it, but I would say that you're missing one very important one that has become so incredibly important over the last few years, and that is you have no idea how injured I was last season. So it's
I'm writing it down.
Right.
I played last season with a torn ass, right? It's like, and you didn't know that, right? So that's why I fumbled the ball 6 times in the NFC Championship game because
I'm adding it right now. No, this is a living document, and I always welcome great additions like that. And I'm putting that under the category that also has soft-spoken star ready to take on vacant leadership role. Quarterback X reminds veteran player Y of Brett Favre. Player X would mention the game is never as slowed down for me. There's also player Y. The offense has never been faster. Coach X, we're extremely impressed by Camp Body Y / Faded Vet Z. And yes, as Connor is now. There's also established franchise quarterback will be something totally different now. I always like that one.
Yes.
And then one from this usually pops up in Cleveland Browns minicamp. Mark, hopeless team X will shock the world.
Well, I mean, draft bust X will break out sounds like a Cleveland Browns narrative too. A weathered one.
All right, let's. It's been a few days. This is episode 150, Justin.
Wow.
How about some applause? Yeah, okay. We got the Gravedigger drop right on time.
Sorry, I had to re-loop it from back to the beginning there.
Oh, yeah. So, episode 150, there are no reverse gears in this tank. Let's hit the news.
And that's what I'm talking about. Good action right there. I'm wet. I'm dirty. Oh, my. Stuff all over the place, and here comes Brunson again.
I mean, I'm torn on that one because it's a great choice as our news drop, Justin Graver. But also it reminded me that the Knicks are on the precipice of defeat. But Kevin Harlan, I mean, Mark, anytime Harlan could say something absolutely queasy in terms of analysis, you got to pump your fist.
We were lucky enough to have him on our previous show. He's a poet. Like, he just does things a little bit different. I think he's a little bit strange, like in a good way, like verbally, and like he'll come up with things that are like, this is not a normal play-by-play guy, right? They all seem like they're a little robotic, and he's just coming from a little bit of a different place and appreciate it.
I won't listen to anyone else on the radio.
Can I hear that
phenomenal.
one more time?
I'm wet. I'm dirty. Oh, my. Stuff all over the place, and here comes Brunson
I'm
again.
wet, I'm dirty. Oh, my, there's stuff all over the place. What else? How else are we supposed to read into that, by the way?
And then smoothly transitions, and here comes Brunson. We're right back into the action.
I love that guy. All right, let's get into the news. So, yeah, like we said, OTAs have kicked off, so there's a lot to dig through here. A lot of press conferences and, light check-ins on practice. For instance, I saw over in New York Giants camp, it was reported that, Jackson Dart has aura. It's like, okay.
Right, we've heard that a few times.
We're not necessarily hearing the deepest of analysis, but there's analysis on what's going on in these fields as teams are knocking off the rust, and then the press conferences. And then, there's the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll start here. The Steelers, oh, man, the Steelers, like, who's the quarterback? Who is the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because as we all know and as we all could predict, there's a certain veteran that is taking them for a ride right now and just won't give any clear timetable for an arrival. So in the meantime, there are people like Mason Rudolph who are quietly wondering, am I starting quarterback in the NFL? Well, here is Rudolph from his presser at Steelers OTAs.
It's great. I've been a part where you jump on the moving train late in the spring, and and then you're also here from the jump. So I learned to adapt to both, but it's obviously good to be wanted. Yes.
Well, that is good to be wanted. And you might be needed, Mason Rudolph, because there's Aaron Rodgers, of course. And Rodgers is still, he's in the wilderness, literally and figuratively. But then he'll pop up occasionally. And here is a quote that he gave, I believe, last week. And Justin, if you tell me where this came from, that would help. Aaron Rodgers, actually, what was the background on this, Justin? Help me out on this one.
So he was like answering questions at a fan event, I think.
This sounds like you're just making things up. Aaron Rodgers was at a fan event?
As he blows out weed smoke.
It was a recent Q&A with fans, and why this was happening is a mystery to even the articles that reported on
like
this.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't strike me as the type of guy that's like, oh, I'm going to the old Pigskin Fan Fest in Madison.
No,
I'm going to do 3 hours with the fans and just stay in touch with people.
I'm not sure that was actually factual, what we just heard from Justin.
I can't get enough of ball. Yeah, that was just
a recent Q&A session at a Mike Stud concert in Austin, Texas.
Mike Stud.
Who's Mike Stud?
What is a Mike Stud?
Sound off in the comments. Who's Mike Stud?
American rapper, singer, and former baseball player.
Okay, here we go. Let's hear what the hints that Aaron Rodgers gave. The smoke coming up from the chimney at the Vatican.
Will Aaron Rodgers ever go to the Bears?
Oh boy! Security, can we get her out of here? I need some security. Security,
can you take it easy on her on this one?
No, but I believe there's a team that might play in Chicago this year.
What
road trip? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Really?
Check it out.
Well,
are you speaking in code?
I love Chicago, though.
All right,
way more than they love me.
Enough. Shut up! Shut up! Go to the football camp where the team is playing.
Correct.
Just go and shut up. Shut up. Stop playing footsie and working under the impression that we all cannot wait to find out how this ends. We all know how this is going to end. You average ass bum. You are not allowed to do this anymore. You can't play 2 years as a 39 and 40-year-old quarterback, blow your Achilles on the fourth play of the first year, and then play absolutely averages to at times good in the second year, but act like you're MVP Aaron Rodgers and play this game. Just shut up. Go, if you're playing for the Steelers, don't tell some 11-year-old girl like, oh, well, I don't know about that, but there might be a team. Shut up. Go play football or go away.
I mean, you've got guys like Cam Hayward, like, I don't even know if I want this guy on my team with the way he's treated this entire thing. And now, like, we're trying to overly nuance a response to a female youth. Like, we're trying to fool her with the response. What are we doing?
Smash cut to Terry Bradshaw's thoughts on this. Guy won like 4 Super Bowls with the Steelers.
What do you think about possibly Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback? That's a joke. That is just, to me, is a joke. What are you going to do? Bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? I mean,
that's not the Steelers' way, right?
No, man, that guy needs to stay in California and go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the guys out there.
100%. These guys on the show, Mr. Bradshaw, know I'm not a fan of his. We've been around each other personally, and he was not a kind person.
Terry Bradshaw.
We don't like mindfulness meditation down here. Don't
It's like a lot of anti-California sentiment in those comments right there too.
Terry Bradshaw doesn't even know where he is at this point, and Terry Bradshaw is sticking the landing on that comment. I mean,
right.
like This doesn't feel. And if there's one thing you could say about Terry Bradshaw, like that guy understands what it means to be a Steelers quarterback and the way to handle the position. And I don't see Terry Bradshaw, Connor, as some like major team builder, but he's kind of right there too. It's like, you're just going to bring this guy in here? He's going to be here half the time, play for 1 year. And like, how does that help you? And we've been down this road, obviously, and discussed this, but like, Terry's right. In 2025, Terry Bradshaw said something right. That's how crazy all this Aaron Rodgers shit is.
I've been working to intellectualize it in some way, shape, or form, just because I find it to be good sport. But what Pittsburgh is doing, and what they have been doing, really, ever since they hung on to Ben Roethlisberger for 3 extra years that they should have, has made no sense to me. It is just constructed mediocrity, and I don't see how Aaron Rodgers gets you out of it unless, I mean, really at this point, you're hoping for a season where, like a couple years ago, where the NFC was supposed to be this quarterback gauntlet and Deshaun Watson gets hurt and, 90% of the great quarterbacks in the division get hurt. And you hope that you're just kind of this Detroit Pistons tough around the rim team that ends up bouncing into the AFC title game. But that's a very rare one kind of in a million chance. So I don't know. I don't see what's happening.
Are we at the point? Because I think there's a pocket of Steelers fans that have been agitated with the good but not great aspect of Mike Tomlin as head coach. Like, what is your head coach needs to be the one that looks for the quarterback, seeks the quarterback, works with the front office, and that's the only question you need to answer in the NFL. If you can't answer that question, and they've been drifting, it's very weird to see the Steelers doing this, but they have been drifting for half a decade.
You know what it is too? It's the absolute picture of why certain owners are afraid to hire defensive head coaches, because there is no reason that Pittsburgh should not be a destination for quarterbacks, right? Much in the way that, I mean, it's a stable franchise. They treat people well. They don't cut bait early on anybody. They're always competitive. They have a good coach, but it's that uncertainty at play caller every 2 or 3 years where you're rotating play callers. And if you're a quarterback, you can't bank the next 5 years of your life on going there. So even if you're Kirk Cousins, right? You have a couple years left. So this is one of those interesting situations where they've really just wedged themselves between a rock and a hard place.
They sure have. And if you didn't hear that quote, and that was, and you got to credit where credit is due, that was on the Morning Mayhem show on 103.7 The Buzz.
It's a great show.
But Bradshaw said that guy needs to stay in California, go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there. Yeah. But it's like, and the people that are listening right now might be annoyed to hear me go off on Rodgers because, oh, Dan, you were drinking the juice. I was. First of all, I was. 2 years ago, I was all in on the Aaron Rodgers idea. Last year, I watched him play, and if you watched every game that Aaron Rodgers played, he still has something left to give as a player. And with the right team, he could be the quarterback of a playoff team. And I guess that's what they're going for here. And they're saying, if we could just get competent play from a veteran leader at quarterback, the rest of the pieces around the team could take us to a place where we want to go, which is, hopefully deeper than the first round of the playoffs. But where did we hear that before? We heard that last year with the Jets. And Rodgers, as time is undefeated, it stops for no one. He's not going to be better as a player in his 21st year or whatever. And if he's not going to be fully committed, and he could rant against Aaron Glenn and the Jets all he wants in the McAfee show, but this is exactly what Aaron Glenn sniffed out in their brief conversation before he was told, like, we're going in a different direction. Like, you got to be all the way in, or you got to get the fuck out. And I think there's just a building frustration around this guy, both probably within the Steelers and people on dumb podcasts like ours. That's just like, dude, you're not as big a deal as you think you are. And it's frustrating from that point.
And every team's social media handles right now, this week and over the weekend, are posting promising players of the pictures and videos of the players and the quarterbacks that are there. And Aaron Rodgers is at a fan fest in deep Texas. Like, it is time to plug in.
The last thing I'll say about this is I thought last year was a constructive proof of concept where, Dan, you'll remember this. The narrative was, okay, he was there for most of the voluntary workouts. What's the big deal if he skips mandatory camp to go to Egypt, which was like the stupidest thing ever at the time because, he's building the relationships. He's working. Like, how much time do you want him to spend with these guys? More, because Mike Williams was not on the same page with him. And then there was the stare down in London, and then he wasn't ready for the back shoulder fade. And then they cut his ass and had to trade for Devontae Adams. Like, more time. You need more time. He is notoriously freewheeling. He likes to change plays at the line of scrimmage. He likes you to know exactly what he's doing. He likes you to think what he's thinking, which is a really hard thing to do. And you have to spend time together. And DK Metcalf is going to be, I don't know, wanting to bang his head against the wall halfway through this season.
And one last note, because in fairness, I believe one of the things he has said recently that there is personal issues that have perhaps played a role in his decision. I just don't know what's true and what's not with that guy, to be quite honest with you, because that's kind of a lever you could pull that can shut down criticism. Oh, there's an illness in my family or a friend,
Right.
and you could... And then that almost doesn't it feel like potentially something like Aaron Rodgers would do to try to
But he's
get the heat off
still
him so he could
active
have
in
another
the-
couple months off?
Yeah, he's still active in talking and creating these mysterious / annoying narratives that we're discussing. He's not hidden away and, in theory, dealing with something privately. I mean, he could be, but he's doing all this also.
He's not the only notable player that's not around, and the teams would like it to be otherwise, but that's reality. The Buccaneers, they were the team that bit on Hassan Reddick and said he was a stud in Philadelphia. The Jets thing was a disaster. It's like a lot of teams, I think, and this is not an unfair criticism because I think the Steelers are doing it with Aaron Rodgers as well. Coincidentally, it's like, yeah, last year wasn't so good, but, the Jets. So We're different. Okay, Hassan Reddick had a miserably thought out holdout last season where he missed a bunch of the season, and then when he came back, he was obviously not in game shape and had zero impact on the Jets. So he lost several $1 million and then lost any leverage on the open market. So he signs essentially a prove-it deal with the Bucs, but the Bucs still see him as an important part of their defense. He's not at the first OTA. Here's Todd Bowles on Hassan Reddick.
I'm sure one of these days we'll see him.
Just like,
he is peeved.
Oh,
like
man.
sometimes it's like, how do you want to get into the heads of some of these guys like Rodgers? It just seems nonsensical. Like Hassan Reddick, you have to have some level of awareness. Like it's a turn the page season for you. Like get into OTAs and be part of this team from Jump Street. I don't know. Anyway, and also Joey Bosa over at Bills camp pulled his calf and will be out for the foreseeable future, all the way up until training camp potentially. And Sessy, I remember us having some words around the signing and making certain guarantees that the Joey Bosa signing is not what it looks like on paper. The Bills gave him, the old West saying, you gotta get the game, not the name. And Bosa, this is a foreboding start to his Bills career at the same time that Sean McDermott said that all players were present for OTAs except for running back James Cook, who obviously wants a new contract. So Bosa not around, injury, Cook not there, looking to get paid.
I think the Bosa thing, it's like, look, if you're wise about the signing, you get him for like 10 or 11 games, right? You just want those games to be deep in January where he makes one of those plays that only he can make that changes everything and catapults you into the Super Bowl. Will he be there for 95% of the season? History tells us he will not, and he's certainly not there right now. But I can see why the signing occurred. It's just it has to be at the right timing. You can't lose him in the most key moments.
$12.6 million 1-year contract, by the way, he signed. That's a lot of money for a guy that probably doesn't have the juice that he once did and can't stay on the field. It's a bad signing, in my opinion. We'll see.
I would say at least they hammered the defensive side of the ball in the draft, right? I think it was the first 5 rounds. I think you had an edge and multiple defensive tackles. They have not repeated previous mistakes, which is like, oh, we got Von Miller. Everything's fine. It's like, okay, it'd be great if we have this guy, but we need 4 or 5 guys in the rotation behind him to at least be adequate by the time November rolls around.
In other news, former Bill Stefon Diggs. Should we check in on the Stefon Diggs thing? This popped up. Right before we came on. I don't know when it popped up, but Connor, you brought it to my attention at least. This is let's play it and check us out on YouTube. Sound off in the comments. But seriously, subscribe on YouTube. That would be very helpful to the Heed the Call brand as we make our march toward a certain number. Stefon Diggs has been dating rap star Cardi B for a bit. He showed up courtside at Knicks games. He showed up at the Met Gala, and now he's on a boat. Let's check this out. Let's dig into what's going on here. Connor, can you narrate what's happening? What are you seeing?
3 women in bathing suits clamoring over something. They're like shaking his hand like a toddler who wants like a Z-bar from the snack cabinet. And Stefon Diggs is wearing an ascot, a black hat, and I think a bathing suit trunks, but the design is money on them. Yeah. And then he flips open what looks like a package of Orbit gum, but is very, very likely some sort of a party drug.
Something that sent you into orbit, perhaps, Connor.
Possibly. My knowledge of modern party drugs is not what it used to be, certainly. And so I could be behind the times here. But he also, I can't quite make out what he's saying, but he does have them call him daddy at one point, and then he corrects them as Mac Daddy. And then, and then relays the whatever the substance is. Because again, I don't want to get myself into issue with litigation here. Maybe it just is gum. Maybe they've had a garlicky appetizer and they all just need to cleanse their breath.
There is some. This is not our reporting, but there is like suggestions that it's a newer street drug called pink cocaine. I kind of love what's happening here in general. I don't,
I think I saw you on the boat too, Mark, in a different angle on the video.
We've had it. Yeah. It's been a long weekend, but yeah.
Yeah. No, let's check in with Mike Vrabel. This is where you don't want it to go when you're the player, because as you know, Diggs signed a sizey contract with the New England Patriots to be one of the most important parts of their offense. And he's also, coming back from a torn ACL, I believe it was, in his lone season in Houston. So when you're Diggs, you don't want to come up in the press conference when you're handing out the pink baggies or whatever to the babes on the boat. Here's Mike Vrabel, a man that's I've seen it in person. Mike Vrabel likes to have a good time too.
That is correct.
But maybe he don't roll like this. Here's Mike.
Stefon Diggs has gotten a lot of traction in the last 24 hours or so. He's on a boat having a good time. But the question comes in as to a certain substance that people are guessing what is and isn't. Is this something that the team has to look into?
Well, it's something that we're aware of, and obviously we want to make great decisions on and off the field. And we're hoping that with our time here on the field today, and that when we don't have a script and we're on the call-up periods, that we're making great decisions. And so the message will be the same for all our players, that we're trying to make great decisions, and any conversations that I've had with Stefon will remain between him and I and the club.
Have you talked to him since the video?
I talk to our players every single day, the ones that are here and the ones that aren't.
That is...
You get the sense that the conversation he had with Stefon Diggs was a little different than what we heard right there.
Yeah, you get it, exactly, Mark. It doesn't sound like a very pleasant conversation between Stefon Diggs and Mike Vrabel. And yeah, Diggs is not present and was not present for Wednesday's voluntary. You stress that, but the NFL's, Connor, as we know, famously weird about that, the way the coaches view voluntary and the way other people might view that word. But he was not at the voluntary organized team.
He's volunteering for something. We understand that.
One day after the video of the wide receiver surfaced on social media in which he was on a boat and flashed an unidentified pink substance while surrounded by 3 women. That is a pretty good little free one for you guys out there who are going to be picking fantasy team names in August. Unidentified pink substance is pretty good.
There's a great post on Twitter about this. I just looked it up because I wanted to credit her. Her name is Victoria Zeller, and it just says, "It's so funny that they had to ask Mike Vrabel about the Steph Diggs video. Yes, I saw my $63 million receiver distribute mystery neon pink party drugs to bad bitches on a yacht after demanding they call him daddy. Yes, I do find it concerning." Like, that's just like if you're a coach in that moment, it's just like, yeah, like I don't like this. I
That's
wish
overt.
it would stop too, you know?
Right.
All right, let's take a break, and then we'll be back with some more news. Oh, man, Ridge. Love it. Been a Ridge man for a long time now. It's the wallet that really, the idea of making the wallet functional and not clunky, and it's what it's done for me. And I use it all the time. I don't need some crusty, giant leather brick in the back of my pants,
No.
George Costanza style. I don't like it. What I like is the Ridge, which is unique, slim, modern, and a design that holds up to 12 cards plus cash, made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber, and over 50 colors and styles to choose from. Unbelievable. So yeah, you don't lose your wallet. In fact, and look cool too. So it's both practical, functional, and maybe finally you'll get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. That's just my take on all this. Right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/heed. Just head to ridge.com/heed to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they're going to ask you how you heard about them, and this is important. Please support our show. Tell them that Heed the Call sent you. Ridge, get a girlfriend.
Dan, I want to ask you something. Do you have the Cash app? Do you use Cash app?
No, tell me about it.
Well, it's incredible. Well, number one, what are you doing?
I don't know.
It's a way to share money together. You know, when we go out to dinner sometimes, and it's like I'll pay the bill, but you'll send.
Yeah,
me
I like
half.
that arrangement. Yeah,
it's a good arrangement. That's exactly what this allows you to do. It's extremely flexible. Making money move should be easy, and that's why there's Cash App. It's fast, safe, and honestly just way more personalized than other apps out there. No extra hoops to jump through, no extra stress. Look, here's the deal. For a limited time now, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code HEEDTHECALL to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code HEEDTHECALL in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right back into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
Bang. Welcome back. We have developing news on the Stefon Diggs boat front. Unidentified pink substance. Connor, you say you may know what it is.
I feel so old and pathetic right now. So I'm going to kind of say it like my mom probably would. So I looked it up. First, it was somebody was saying pink cocaine. So I looked up pink cocaine. And then that brought me to a page where I initially pronounced it as Tussie, Tusi. But then I saw on Twitter that the number 2 and the letter C are trending. So I think Tussie, I'm now learning, is pronounced 2C.
Oh, shit.
And it is sort of phonetically similar to Tusi. I didn't make it further down on Wikipedia. Combo of looks like of ketamine, MDMA, cocaine, meth, oxycodone, caffeine. So that's
all
good.
Together baked into one.
Yeah.
So that and for those that might not be familiar with addictive stimulants or wherever this would categorize, that is something that you take to keep the party going on the boat and maybe even level it up.
That is correct.
That's an upper. That sounds like an upper. Yes or no, Connor?
I had like 2 espressos the other day and cowered in a corner. Like my wife had to help me up. And I just can't imagine what this feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's a good Patreon episode we can do this on.
Connor Try-Doozy.
Let's just all try and just turn the cameras on.
Just and to be fair, like, a lot of people, when you get on a boat, like, it's rocky, you might not feel great to begin with. Like, adding this to the bloodstream, and then you hit some waves and stuff. Like, I don't know if I want to give...
Is that how it helped you when you were on that boat also, Mark?
Well, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you. Joe Burrow is the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. He also had some takes on the NFL schedule and the nature of the schedule and whether it is fair after learning that the Cincinnati Bengals will travel to Baltimore to face the rival and AFC superpower Ravens in primetime for the fourth consecutive season. So Burrow was on record saying he did not feel that it was fair. Here's a little bit from Joe.
Playing in Baltimore for the fourth straight primetime year isn't ideal. Maybe we could get one of those in Cincinnati next year, please. Maybe an international game next year, too.
What kind of hairstyle? What was going on with the hair there?
I don't know with Joe. We talked about this. I'm not judging Joe, and Joe is he's a guy. You want to talk about somebody that has aura, okay? As the kids say, Burrow's got it. That's what it used to be. You used to say, old heads would say, I don't know what it is, but he's got it. Now they just say, oh yeah, he's got aura, major aura, right? So like us, especially us commenting on his hair is rich because we can never possess the level of charisma that man has. And wouldn't you do the same if you were this like superstar quarterback, good looking guy that was fashion minded and liked to take certain risks in the follicle department? Can't judge him, but sometimes I'm looking at him like, I kind of want to write the Phil Mushnick column. Like, is this guy focused on ball?
Oh yeah, from that angle, you're correct. I'm not trying to take him down a notch. I just more had I would like him to just say, what are we going for here? Is it midstream, or is there more to go? Or going to be a late summer situation where we've grown it out a little more? It looked like something from like 1991 that like
I was going to say,
my friend's mom's
the vibe of like the fourth guy in Tony or something. It's like there's definitely like a early 90s R&B type energy to him, like Color Me Bad. Yeah, can we see a shot of that again? He kind of looks, if you're of a certain age, you'll know who Color Me Bad was. He kind of has a Color Me Bad energy to this style, and last year it was the bleached blonde hair, right? It was kind of more in the Eminem 2000s Eminem energy. So the guy takes risks. And
he can.
Anyway, Mike North, the NFL's vice president of broadcast planning and scheduling, we'll take all that out of the show, told the Bengals official team website that he understands Burrow's criticism, adding that if he could, quote, wave a magic wand and change one part of the schedule. I mean, you're fucking Mike North, the NFL's vice president of broadcast planning and scheduling. Don't tell me about a magic wand that you wish you could wave. You're going to... Anyway... So if he could change one part of the schedule, he'd tweak that Thanksgiving night game, which is the Ravens-Bengals. It's fair. It's not a 1 or 2 years sort of league where you fix every problem every other year or every 2 years. Once you start getting to the same thing 3 years in a row or 4 or 5 years in a row, whether it's a short week, Thursday on the road, or opening on the road, when trends like that emerge, we probably have to adjust them at some point. You know what that tells me, Connor, that the Bengals are going to get the softest possible schedule next year. They're going to try to make up for it any way they can. There are certain limitations because the opponents are the opponents, but I think North and that scheduling, they're going to put Cincinnati in a different column next year when they're thinking about things. And from that perspective, good job, Joe Burrow. You've succeeded.
Right. Well, yeah, you have to. It's almost like late quarterback hits or any other issue where if you're a player, you have to find an artful way of expressing it publicly so that it's out there in the ether, and then it puts the ball in the league's court. But I don't understand Mike North saying that if this was the one fix that he could have made, that's it. The scheduling process is pathetic, and obviously it kowtows to their corporate overlords. We know that. There's a way to make the schedule where you can funnel teams together, and you want teams to end, like, you'd want most teams to end up 9-8 or 8-9. That would be great. But last year, the San Francisco 49ers got absolutely torpedoed. A negative 22 net rest differential. That ruined their season. And now this year, it's like, oh, okay, well, here's a great schedule. But Christian McCaffrey's a year older. You lost Deebo Samuel. Like, these are 1 year windows of time that matter greatly to everybody. And they're just all sitting here like discussing narratives like they're a media columnist and being like, oh, it's going to be sick and like Christmas to have like the red team play the green team. Like, just do your damn job and put everybody in a position where there's some semblance of fairness. Like, put a hard game and then an easy game and a hard game and like, don't just absolutely blast teams into Saturn on week 3 and then just double middle fingers. See you later, but we'll give the Steelers 9 cupcake games through the first couple weeks of the season so that we can legitimize an end-of-year Aaron Rodgers game because hopefully he'll still be standing by then. Like, it's just, I don't know. The schedule is ridiculous. And there used to be like we used to want fair things. We used to want things to work out so that there would be some sort of fairness of play, and like you end the season being like, okay, we tried. Now it's just like, what's up on Amazon next? It's the Buzz versus the Buzz.
That is it. You hit on it.
God almighty.
And we've talked about it on the show.
Short of breath.
And we are not, this isn't just like, let's rip the NFL, but it has to be held accountable that there is a price for doing business with all these different platforms. Because you have all these different mouths to feed, and for those companies to justify their massive hundreds of $million of investment with the NFL to get into bed with the NFL has to give them things to make sure it's fair and equitable and keep these teams or these companies paying the NFL. And who loses ultimately are the players and the teams. And you know what their biggest solution will be, Conor, ultimately? More games.
Yeah.
More games.
Always.
Another week of the schedule. That will be, that's how they'll come out. How are you, by the way, Conor? I want to check in with you real quick. Because Mark and I, as we do, we're always thinking about the show. We're always plotting. You know, it's not just when we turn on the lights and the mics. We were like, all right, we put a show on the books. We were like, all right, let's tape on Wednesday morning, Pacific time, early PM Eastern time. But let's get Conor on the horn and just make sure the schedule works with him. And Mark, what happened was, well, why don't we do a little reenactment of the phone call? It was a 3-way phone call, and I'll play myself on the phone call, and Mark will play Conor Orr. And what you're about to hear, with the help of Justin on the production, is exact. This is not an exaggeration. This is what Mark and I heard. I had texted Conor ahead of time, and I said, Conor, are you free to talk? And he said, yeah, give me 15 minutes. And then he followed up with, actually, I'm good now. So here we go. I'm picking up the phone. I'm calling Conor. Here we go. And action. Conor?
Hello.
Conor, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
I missed the exit.
Well,
are you in a car right now? You sound...
driving through the streets of New Jersey, late for a track meet.
What? What did you say? You're late for what?
A track meet. It seemed like a good time to talk, but
hey, can you do the show tomorrow? We'll let you get back to it. Can you do the show?
I think so. I will call you back soon, or we can talk soon to discuss.
All right, just be safe, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. I mean, the TNC, Conor, which has been a bastion for you in terms of finding peace in your life. In this case, I'm worried about like the pace of life now with all these children is maybe sullying the peace of the town and country.
My wife and I actually talked about this. We were driving home from PA the other day, and our newborn hates the car, so she's crying, and then my kids have what's called a Tony box, which is like a little Bluetooth stereo that plays a story of some kind. And so they had a Paddington Bear thing on full throttle, like 19 volume. And then another one of my kids is just like, do you think we're going to stop for ice cream? Do you think we're going to stop? And like the sheer amount of different noises, as loud as they could possibly go. And I turned to her and I was like, it's amazing how good we've gotten at just letting it all, like, I don't even hear it anymore. And it's so bad to say that. I'm an attentive parent, but at some point or another, the massive noise becomes almost like a New York City person sleeping through the through the subway.
Yep.
It's just like, and it just goes. And so for me, it's not abnormal for me to take phone calls now where I know that it's just basically going to sound like a Metallica concert behind me, because I think that's just the volume of my daily life.
I mean, we after we got off the phone, I was like, I so wish we recorded that, because it was like one of the craziest moments you've experienced.
I mean, that's like a guy like in the shit. Like, it was like calling a guy that was in Vietnam, like, and was just fighting it out with the Viet Cong at like the highest levels. Like, he was like, I hope he gets through this on the other side so I can send him a Armed Forces weekend hat. Like, you know,
is it weird that I love it though? I would not, like, that is the volume. That is the volume of my life, and that is. I honestly would not have it any other way.
You thrive the chaos. You thrive in the chaos. It propels you like an unidentified pink substance almost. That pink substance being your daughter.
Maybe I do need some 2C after this week.
Imagine, God, 2C. We got to get our hands on this. Can we even say that? Okay, anyway. So
I think we can say anything.
On a recent Friday Fun show, we talked about poor Cam Ward, who, was it a fun show or was it on the regular HTC? It doesn't matter. But we talked about Cam Ward being kind of not getting the juice, and Titans fans as an extension, that he deserves as being the number one overall pick and a quarterback and a guy who could change the temperature of an organization and build a skyline and all that, right? He's Cam Ward. He's the first pick. And then he was at the rookie symposium event, and Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round pick, as you may know. Cam Ward, and it's caught on camera. It's very awkward. They're both holding their rookie jerseys. And Cam Ward, the 1st overall pick, asked Shedeur Sanders, the 200th overall pick or thereabout, hey, let's swap jerseys. And Shedeur Sanders says no to Cam Ward. And then Shedeur says, I can't. I need money. I need money. That was kind of what he said, right? It was along those lines. And that leads me to the discussion that we're going to have, which is like, I don't think Shedeur Sanders needs money. I think he should have given poor Cam Ward that jersey and not pretended like he needed to hawk his Browns jersey. In fact, there was a video out there that Shedeur Sanders had a $500,000 Rolls Royce dropped into his driveway. So, you know, this is interesting, Mark. This flies in the face of a man that couldn't even give up a jersey because he needed to sell that to put food on the table. This kind of flies in the face of that, perhaps a conflict in terms of honesty.
I see a conflict. I don't know if the food on the table was something we bought to believe. We didn't buy into that to begin with, but look, this is someone with generational wealth. I mean, I don't think money has been the issue here. It's not been the core need. And
oh, wait, we're checking in with Shedeur Sanders' PR flack, Marc Sessler. Go on, Mark.
I am saying I think this is someone that after he was drafted in the 5th round and tumbled down the draft board, ran across a massive estate and jumped into a luxurious, beautiful pool. So it's like, I don't know. That set the tone for me that said this person has been rich their entire life.
I think if you're Shedeur, this is the right move because you can't go the other way, right? And there was 2 moves. There was a fork in the road when he got drafted, and you either go full Kirk Cousins and you buy a minivan and you appear totally humbled, or you do the rich kid during freshman year of college thing, which is to have a freezer full of Grey Goose, to flaunt your money and to be like, I am the center of all of this, and I'll pay for all the rookie dinners, and I'll take everybody out, and I'll buy you a Lamborghini. You want a Bentley? I'll buy everybody a Bentley. I don't care. And that's the way that you win friends. And I think that that's the move for him, right? Because a locker room is like high school, and I think it's inauthentic of him to go in humbled. It's just like, nah, man, I'm going to drive a Bentley with like robot tires on it right to camp in the first day.
What exactly are robot tires? Sorry, Conor. I'm not a car guy.
I understand technology. Like they drive you, and you can drink rosé in the back, or do maybe some toots.
But the only thing is that everything he said verbally looks like he was trying to go in the other direction of humble, of don't look at me, don't look at my family. And then this car image, this massive, incredible car is dropped off. It kind of like is going in two different directions.
What's the Deshaun Watson, right? It's like, I'm sorry, psych, definitely not sorry at all. Like that's the move, right?
Shedeur's brother, Deion Jr., came to his brother's defense, or attempted to clarify the situation. Said, why would y'all think this was Shedeur's? Who said anything about this being Shedeur's?
Starting with, why would y'all think this was Shedeur's? Who said anything about this being Shedeur's? Nobody said that. Y'all just made your own story and ran with it. It was delivered to me as a sample, because I don't like that color. I like black or red.
Of course, we all know Deion Sanders Jr.'s as his tastes in cars are different than that. Deion added that you could drive the sample of that car for up to 30 days, and is deciding between that or a Bentley Mulsanne, which, depending on the model, can cost up to $350,000. So I think we could close the book on Shedeur as a scrappy rookie just trying to get by on his meager fifth-round salary. I feel good about that one.
Can I have a Rolls Royce just dropped off at my house for 30 days as a sample? Like that feels like a different level of lifestyle.
True.
I thought he was going to rationalize it like your delusional friend who buys like a $90,000 pickup to be like, well, it fits the kids in the back and we needed a bigger car, and which is why we bought this. It's like, oh, Shedeur needed it to carry his pads to practice. It had a bigger back seat than the other Rolls Royce we had.
I'm looking up Deion Sanders Jr. What do I need to know?
Yeah, what's his deal?
He's 31 years old. He's 5'7". Whoa, that's tough. He did play for. Well, you just think he's the a son of Deion Sanders, that he would, be 6'1", or I don't know how. Maybe Deion wasn't that tall either, actually. But anyway, no disrespect to the 5'7"ers out there, but
including like two on the show right here.
Right here.
I guess we're learning here that Deion Sanders Jr. He's the one getting the $500,000 Rolls Royce, or choosing between the Bentley or that. So, and what does he even do? What is
right?
This guy?
Does he have any semblance of a productive career? What does he?
He has run social media accounts for Deion for a long time, dating back to any Titans fan will remember. He famously quoted a Kevin Byard tweet saying, "Who even are you?" And Titans fans are like, "How does Deion Sanders not know who Kevin Byard is?"
That
He's
was
one of
him?
the youngest, best young safeties in the league. And it turned out it wasn't Deion Sanders. It was Deion Sanders Jr. running the social account for Deion. And he's done a bunch of social stuff with Colorado since Deion got there. And he's that's how he's made his living.
Hang on. I'm on Deion Sanders Jr.'s LinkedIn profile. He is self-employed. He is the owner of Well Off Media. Why is everything... All right, Well Off Media, and he's also the founder and CEO of a clothing line called Well Off to promote physical and emotional well-being of people. Well, I think maybe we take a step back now. After
that sounds. That
he's
sounds
making
positive.
sweatpants that make people feel better about themselves.
Shedeur Sanders made a reported $5.1 million in NIL money during his time in college, which is larger than the value of his entire 4-year rookie contract. So yeah,
let me ask you a question then.
He's
Justin,
got money. He's had money.
As a Titans fan, because I know it's got to grind your gears, why wouldn't he give him the jersey? Why would he do that to Cam?
I don't know, honestly. And I said this when we talked about it, but they're like friends. They train together. They shit talk together, and they push each other competitively. I do think there must be some kind of bit underlying.
I think
situation.
I think it was a bit of a there's just too much history of them kind of going at each other like friends. Like I don't think it's it wasn't a total diss to a stranger.
All right. This is something that came up a couple days ago or last week, but we didn't get a chance to hit it with the little holiday break we took. NFL owners have approved a proposal for players to participate in flag football at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The vote Tuesday at the Spring League meeting in Minneapolis was unanimous, a source told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. The resolution needed to be approved by 24 of 32. Rogg said in a statement, it's an incredible honor for any athlete to represent their country in the Olympics, which is the pinnacle of the global sport, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the league still needs to negotiate with the NFLPA, Olympic officials, and national governing bodies on the specifics of letting NFL players participate. I think it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I have a feeling that Conor Orr has some kind of take, and he might even have 1,000 words up on SI.com that I missed because I was celebrating the Tropes this weekend. But Conor, tell me why you either love or hate this, and there's no in between.
Show of fans, who here has watched Olympic-style flag football?
No hands going up for the audio audience.
Okay, it's not the same.
Sound off in the YouTube comments. Go ahead.
It's not the same sport. And so here's what we're doing. We're assuming that a group of NFL players is just going to be able to be dropped in here like they're playing beach volleyball and dominate a sport that has been in existence. And everybody is shitting over the quarterback of the current U.S. flag football team, being like, who's this guy? What a piece of shit. And him saying that he wants to be in the Olympics. He should. It's not the same sport. It's like if you've ever watched like sprint flag football or any of these other things, which I have, it is a mess. It's like the Dolphins offense on cocaine. It's just constant like motions and tossing and flea flickers and throwing the ball around and sharp cuts. Yes. Would a couple NFL players be good or maybe valuable in that situation? Yes. But if we want to win a gold medal, we should probably send the fucking U.S. flag football team.
Wait a second.
That's who we should send.
Wait a second. So you're telling me, Conor, you could say to me with a straight face that if we sent the Philadelphia, if we picked, I don't know how many guys are on a flag football team, let's say 11, whatever. 12, 15. If you took the 15 top athletes from the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, and put them and gave them, let's give them 6 weeks to learn the nuances of flag football, and you put them up against the current existing amateur Olympic or the team that was going to go to the Olympics as the flag football representatives of the United States of America, you're saying the Eagles get cooked.
I don't think the Eagles win that game and you're assuming
that's insane.
And you're assuming that over the course of they're not getting 6 weeks. First of all, they're going to be dropped in like right before training camp and been like, here are all the rules that you don't know. And here are all these situations that you can do in a game that you can't do in Olympic style flag football. And all these other things that you aren't going to be able to do that you're used to doing to gaining an edge and gaining separation. And like, why it's so frustrating to me because it's like we kind of tried to drop like has-been players into 3-on-3 basketball in France and then just got absolutely steamrolled. We need to put 3-on-3 players in there. It's a specialty. It's a different group of players who are good at different things. Flag-style Olympic football is not football. It's totally different. It's like it's an I don't know.
I recognize that point, Conor. Just like in the NBA and the Olympics basketball, we've been beaten once, I believe, but since the NBA players are allowed to do it, and they're beaten because, in large part, the game was shifting, the rules are different, the strategy's different, and in the case of the NBA, the level of talent level outside the United States has grown and it's boomed, right? And it became this like thing. But then once in that case, the NBA was like, that was the wake-up call to the Americans, right? And they hired a head coach, I think it was, Krzyzewski, and they found the right players for the right system and learned how to play it. They started winning the gold again. I think the NFL would never, ever want to put themselves in a position to get a black eye and lose this tournament or this Olympic event So I think they would put in the necessary work to understand the nuances of it. And beyond that, I'll stand by my initial thought, which is just like the overwhelming amount of physical talent that they'll have at their disposal, I think will cover up any blemishes they would have for the nuances of the sport.
I tend to think I would tend to favor like AJ Brown versus like a French cornerback on a flag football team.
Here's the thing. Mark my words, Mark, literally. If we think that we're just going to fart loaf in here like a month before the Olympics and drop like a 36-year-old Justin Jefferson. If we think we're going to drop like a 36-year-old Justin Jefferson onto the flag football team and walk into the finals, this is going to be our reverse 1980 Soviet U.S. moment. We are going to get punked by a bunch of athletic, insanely disciplined Japanese flag football players at 0 hour in like the bronze medal game and look like a bunch of total assholes.
I'm just telling from Connor. Like, I think it's a compelling like angle to look at it from.
I know there are times that I sound like a contrarian just to be a contrarian, but I promise you that I believe all these things in the core of my being. I think we would get absolutely flamed.
But that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Like, it'd be amazing to watch like a bunch of NFL players get destroyed.
Maybe great for this podcast and all content.
Okay, perfect example.
Generators.
Perfect example of this. When Sean Payton went to go coach flag football when he was suspended for a Bountygate, he had to call like 9 other coaches for help to design an offense because he was getting his ass whipped by people who knew how to coach flag football. It's a different sport.
Yeah, but he wasn't the player. It wasn't like Sean Payton had the Saints players with him.
Those were children, weren't they?
They were children, boys and girls.
But it's not the same. You're not just rolling in there with your West Coast offense. I see what you mean by that. I mean, it's a
no. You have
why
to
would
have
teams allow this? By the way,
I think where we are definitely separated on this is the assumption that the governing body of the United States faction of flag football are not going to take it seriously in terms of preparing the players for the game and the strategy. I think that's part and parcel of what this whole thing is. And if they do, to your point, that if they do just drop them in there and go in and represent the country, they deserve whatever would come to them, but I still tend to think they'd win anyway, to be honest with you, just through sheer athleticism and size.
Okay, so yeah, the NFL never just throws its dick down on something and assumes that it's going to work out. Right?
No, it's possible. I understand that side of it. Yes.
And so we have two things here, because I agree with you that we obviously have the best athletes that play football in the world. So either we have to take them all out of off-season training and take them all out of training camp or whatever it is from right after they finish a punishing NFL season in December or January. By then there's going to be 31 games. So, mid-February. And then they're going to have to go right into flag football specific training in March, in April, in May, in June, and July, and hope that they don't have any soft tissue issues, and then hope that they've absorbed the rules and hope that they're ready, and then drop them into a sport that other people have been playing for half a decade, other coaches who have been studying this. It's like literally their life. And I hope it works out. I mean, obviously, I love when we win gold medals. I love all that stuff, But I think that the NFL is like kind of, a little high on the horse here to think that we're just going to walk in
No,
here
the NFL?
Not them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's an arrogance to this. And I totally support the current U.S. flag football team who are asking for their spots on the roster because I believe that they deserve it. And I think that team would win a gold medal. I don't think we need help.
Okay, now you're hitting on something that I can get on board with you on that, Connor, which is it reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons, Homer at the Bat, where Montgomery Burns makes Mr. Burns, the heel of Springfield and the owner of the power plant, makes $1 million bet with a rival over the company softball game. And the Springfield softball team was really good, and Homer was the star of it. But for Burns, he decided to import all of the MLB stars of the era. And Homer was the only guy they kept on the team, and he never played. I feel for the homers in this situation. Okay, I understand that, and I just want you to know that I empathize with those men. Justin. Thank you.
Like,
everybody
side note
out there calling me an asshole for all this stuff. You guys are the assholes, because at the root of everything, I am taking up for people like us, like the guys who didn't have it all, the guys who didn't go D1, the guys who had to grind their way through Virginia Wesleyan, and then they saw a flyer in the mail for U.S. flag football, and they decided that even though all of their friends are making fun of them and getting business degrees and doing all this other stuff, that they're going to learn this obscure, strange version of it, so that in the hopes that they can one day be Olympians, because it's not even an Olympic sport yet. Those are the guys that I'm taking up for. 100%.
Applause, please, Justin. I mean,
slightly
side
less
note,
applause than last time.
Like, side note, try telling, like, the Stefon Diggs of the world, like, you can't go on that boat.
Sassy.
What? You can't go on that boat. You got to go do this instead.
During his 2012 suspension from the NFL, Sean Payton served as the offensive coordinator for his son Conor's sixth grade team in Argyle, Texas. Payton used a simplified version of the Saints playbook, and the team went unbeaten until they suffered a loss near the end of the regular season to a team that ran the single wing, which his team was unable to stop. Since he believed he would face that team again in the league's playoffs, he obtained video that the father of one of his players had recorded. He spygated him. And then contacted his mentor, Bill Parcells, to help him break down the opponent's offense. The teams indeed faced one another in the league's finals. Payton's team lost a considerably closer game in which they were able to slow down the opposing offense.
Very weird.
That's what I'm telling you guys. Like, it is. Go watch the sport. It's a lot of fun.
He considerably slowed down the opposing.
It's a lot of fun. It's different, and I'm just like, I think that I will pull some people over to my side. I do. I hope so. Anyway.
This has now turned to the point where, like, on the Reddit board, Dan, you and I are going to get destroyed. Because people are going to say, like, you know, Conor's made such a compelling argument about the nature of this amateur sport.
Here's my counterpoint to that, Mark. I don't give a shit. But tune in to the next episode of It Came From the subreddit coming up soon. When are we doing that, Justin? When's that back?
Next week.
Yes, It Came From the subreddit, which is a deep dive into the fandom of our show and thoughts on the show, both positive and negative, and perhaps this will be something we touch on. Conor tends to hit the third rail when he gets after the international aspect of football, but in this case, it seems to be more a pulpit where he's supporting the common man. And laughing at the folly of the arrogant American super corporation, the NFL. So I think you will dodge criticism in this case, Conor.
I would think so too. By the way, there's a few posts on the subreddit I'd like to address at some point, but
you are always welcome, as you know, Mark. On It Came From the subreddit. Anything else before we say goodbye? This is the platform.
Rock hard.
Mark, what do you got?
It's good to be back. I don't like, taking long Memorial Day breaks, except for the fact that, observing the wonderful nature of our troops. That's what I did for, 72 hours.
I'm wet. I'm dirty. Oh, my. Stuff all over the place.
Unbelievable. All right. Conor, you have something to add?
I would say that May is the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. I work for a charity called the Greater Newark Holiday Fund, and while we do a lot of different social service stuff, so much of our resources now are poured into counseling services, mental health services for people in need. Check out that charity. Check out Mental Health Association in your own state. Donate. There's needs for bilingual counselors all across America, especially in underserved communities. So I'd be remiss if I didn't address that before we turn the page from May to June. So thank you for that.
You're a good man, Conor Orr. Unfortunately, because of the way it might reflect on Mark and I, we're going to have to cut that out of the show.
That needs to be sliced.
Goodbye.
All right, everybody. Check us out on the Patreon on our next Friday fun show coming up later this week. And we'll be back on Monday. Until then, heed the call.